All right, takes on takes. Got our producer Ben reading them off to us. Little reactions, all things around the NBA. Starting out with Caitlin Clark. Ben, talk to us about what her agent said in regards to her net worth.
This was going around the last week. Her agent, Aaron Kane, said, will Caitlin Clark ever be paid by the WNBA what she's really worth to the league? I don't think that's possible. She's part of a larger player body. They all need to be paid more. She should be recognized for what she has done and what she's brought to the league from an economic standpoint. It's as simple as that. So how much is she worth?
This could be one of those moments where if she is paid properly, it changes the whole league for the better. I mean, the eyeballs and the ratings are there. She's box office must-see television. If she was in the 3-on-3 Unrivaled League, more people would be watching it, and we'd be talking about it. I think she is that player. With Juju coming out of USC, what she's doing, and Paige Beckers, I mean, you'd like to see Caitlin get paid properly, but that's a whole initiative. That's more than just her getting paid.
An economist in the article said Caitlin Clark brought $36 million to Indianapolis in her rookie season when she broke the assist record, by the way. This is the type of caliber we're talking about.
Yeah.
27% of the league's economic activity can be tied back to Caitlin Clark.
That's incredible.
The league can't pay her what she's worth, but she can lift the league. Couple other things out of this article. They signed a new TV deal, 11-year, $2.2 billion, negotiated by the NBA, by the way, because the NBA owns 60% of the league.
Yeah.
First of all, 11 years is far too long. That's a massive mistake, in my opinion. With the trajectory of the league and it gaining popularity as fast as it is, they're going to outgrow this deal in 2 years.
Should be half that, if anything.
If anything.
If anything.
So they went from $60 million a year in media money to $200 million in this new deal. They're going to outgrow that in the first couple years. That's why it's tough, because the network's going to be getting over the next 8 or 9 years, if not already, if we're being honest. Similar to Caitlin's Nike deal, by the way. The Nike deal, I think she got like $10 million or $12 million per, I think.
Yeah.
It's like a $25 million deal. Look up the details on that Caitlin Clark Nike deal. They're getting over there, but I digress. Couple things here. Caitlin Clark's set to make $75,000 in 2025.
Jeez.
The max deal in the WNBA is $241,000. At Unrivaled, the average salary is $200K plus, and they get equity. They have to figure out a way to get more money
without question
on these salaries. Typically, that comes from TV deals, but it could come from a lot of different things. I agree with Aaron Kane, Caitlin Clark's agent, when she mentions, I think we're getting to a spot where the NBA owning a vast majority of the league is a conflict of interest. Their number one priority is the NBA. This league is now becoming and blossoming into its own thing. They're never going to put the resources and the time and the effort and the brain power to making the WNBA massive because they're worried about the NBA.
We do have a fascinating scenario here, though, where we have one person that you just mentioned the money it brought to the city of Indianapolis. I mean, how do you properly grow the league with your golden goose? Because you have the golden goose in her prime.
Yeah,
that's bringing commerce and raising. I mean, I think you have an interesting thing you point out with the 11-year media right deal. That's a W for whoever locked them in for 11 years. Caitlin's agent's right. It's going to be a rollout process, though. But all completely back the agent, and I'm in lockstep with you.
Yeah, no doubt. So salute to Caitlin Clark for what she's done for the league as a rookie, along with the other players in the league, Asia Wilson, Nafisa Collier, like all those are real hoopers. But yeah, Caitlin needs to be compensated. Hopefully, I mean, she already is off the floor, but hopefully that puts a lot more dollars in other players' pockets as well.
So that off the floor, the Nike thing, we looked it up, 8 years, $28 million.
it's highway robbery.
That's not a lot of money.
I remember when I first heard it. This was before the season started.
That's her Nike deal?
Coming
8
out,
years, $28
8
million.
years, $28 million is highway robbery.
In the shoe game?
For the amount of money that she'll end up making. For
LeBron
Nike.
got, what, 95 and 04?
So
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, LeBron, Durant, Curry, they're all upwards of 25 per year for their endorsement.
Yeah,
so,
no, I just remember that
28
first
over
one.
8
it's crazy.
with
For
inflation
what
and everything.
she's going to produce. Hopefully, she'll be able to get out of that deal and renegotiate or whatever she has to do.
Holy
But
cow.
the 8 at 28 is whoever wrote that deal for Nike.
We got stuff falling off the wall. It's such a fleecing. All right, coming off All-Star game, Ben, 4-point line. Tee us up here.
Yeah, so
got some
a
feels
few
on this.
players had this idea, or at least spoke on it. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, J.D. Davison, and Zachary Ricochet. Ricochet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ricochet. Yeah.
Ricochet?
Yeah.
So this is Mobley's quote from The Athletic. He said, I can see lengthening the three-point line just because it's getting easier and easier for guys to shoot. But a 4-point line is kind of crazy because you change the whole game.
Just one of the dumbest questions. Is this the big three? What are we doing here? Are we playing for stuffed animals at a carnival? Let me hit the 4-point line shot. Ridiculous. Bring back hand checking if you want to make it difficult. Simple as that. It's a ridiculous thought. That's about all I got to say.
Anything that changes the structure of
4
basketball,
points?
I'm not into.
Dude, I wouldn't watch the game if there was a 4-point.
Well, I mean, they're talking about the All-Star game that apparently no one's watching anyway. So anything I guess is on the table, but figure out a way to get the guys playing for a good amount of money, and you'll find that all of a sudden guys will care about the game.
Yeah.
It's simple as that.
All right, let's
This
talk
is the United States.
Let's talk an interesting one here. Ben, tee us up all things Ja Morant via the Ringer NBA show.
Yeah, so last one here. Howard Beck, host of the Ringer NBA show, had this to say about the Grizzlies and potentially moving on from Ja. So he said, I'm constantly checking with executives around the trade deadline about, like, okay, what we saw, what we didn't see, what's next. And in this league, you're always on the lookout for who's the next wave of stars that are going to get dealt. And somebody out of the blue said, keep an eye on Ja this summer. I'm just saying it's one of those things I'm just kind of keeping an eye on if they were to flame out early. Obviously, we know they had a little bit of a bounce back year.
Right.
This year, does Ja move in the offseason?
Anything possible, man.
Anything possible after Luka. But what are the Grizzlies thinking moving off from Ja? You haven't heard any offseason stuff all year from him. They've done nothing but outperform Vegas. Still dealing with little injuries here
in the
and
West
there.
at the moment.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Are we forgetting that Bane, Jaren Jackson, and Ja are to be reckoned with?
Yeah, this is one of those things where it's just noise until it's not. If they flame out early is also an interesting caveat at the end.
Do you read that
So
quote?
it's like, we're not thinking about it, but they flame
But
out
do you
early.
read that quote as clickbait or from Howard Beck, who's, a respectable guy?
Oh, Howard Beck is an all-timer.
Credible.
Credible NBA journalist for decades. I'm sure someone said that, and he's just saying what he heard. Someone mentioned, hey, watch out for Ja, I've heard, da-da-da-da. But, I mean...
Is there a team out there in mind you think that has the pieces that could go out and get him?
Yeah, a few, but...
Like, you pair him with someone, it wouldn't be Wemby because Box just went, but something like that. Maybe him to Milwaukee, something crazy like.
When Ja's been on the floor, Memphis has been really good. Period. Go look at the numbers when he's on the floor. We're making a ton of noise before LeBron and them showed up that one year, but they were still really young.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been on the floor because of off-the-court stuff. Now he's back on the floor. They're number 2 in the West. So when he's on the floor, they compete. That doesn't change anything for me.
Is he kind of do you feel like he's a star, just kind of, floundering's a word, but just kind of cruising because he's in Memphis and it's not a huge market and we're missing out on a guy that if he was on like the Rockets, we'd be talking about Ja Morant like crazy.
This would be a thing that Memphis would move off of him. Memphis is a good spot for Ja because, as we were talking about earlier in the show, he's not a guy that's into the big market and doesn't want to chat and do all this extracurricular. He wants to hang out with his homies and hoop and have his friends
Perfect for him.
be there and hoop. That's what he's been doing. He's cleaned up the off the court from what I could tell. There hasn't been any issues recently. A smaller market is probably better for Ja Morant. So if Memphis decides to move on, that would be really interesting. But it's noise until otherwise.
I'm with you. All right, from takes on takes to fresh squeeze takes coming up next on the Juice Bar. For more Juice Bar, make sure to check out the podcast wherever you get your audio platforms. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, Google Play. Keep it rolling. More Juice Bar. Stay locked in.